Hi everyone, welcome back to RecruitFest 2010. I'm Winegardner, Vice President of Client Adoption for Monster.com. We are in our first official session here. I hope you enjoyed the panel. We've got a great audience here. We learned that 10 minutes isn't very long. So for those of you watching along at home or at your desks, I hope you got a little bit of work done, and I hope we can count on you all day long. Quick stat for you, we are streaming live in over 20 countries right now. Thousands of participants in over 20 countries. So we are truly global, so I'll say good morning to those of you in U.S. time zones, good afternoon to those of you in Europe, and I will say happy Friday to those of you in Australia. So I think we've got all of those covered right now. So what we've got in store for you for the next 50 minutes is a conversation with Chris Hoyt at The Recruiter Guy around Glocal, the subject of Glocal, and I won't steal any of the thunder there. We're working right now on the hashtag of #RecruitFest for those of you on Twitter and sharing this information, and the secondary hashtag is Glocal. So #Glocal, that will allow us to stream that whole conversation on there and take your words of wisdom and circle them up. So Chris Hoyt, round of applause. You know you're at your desk clapping right now. You know you are, right? So Chris, you know, you've been in this business for a pretty decent time here, and took the transition in this last year to go from AT&T, where you had an esteemed career, did some really cool stuff that we were all following, and went over to PepsiCo, which is a brand I'm quite familiar with. It's hard to maintain this figure. But PepsiCo, as I've learned over your tenure there, has $19 billion brands. It's all of these things that it's more than just Pepsi, more than just Frito-Lay. It's a fascinating organization with quite a consumer brand, and your challenge is to lead the organization through and build that and translate it into an employment brand. So he's done some really cool stuff. I'm going to turn things over to Chris to walk you through what you're doing, give your quick intro, and then we'll just mix it up. So again, from a time management or process management standpoint here, those of you who are watching at home, at your offices, top right-hand corner, ask Chris a question, submit a question, being moderated bottom underneath the stream. Make sure that you're chatting with each other, keeping the conversation going. Those of you in the room who have a question already should have them. Mike in the back. We'll let Chris walk us through some of his brand, and then we'll go from there. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, sounds
rock
great.
and roll.
Here we go. Can you hear me all right? Yeah, so it's awesome to be here. I said earlier, I think the quote that somebody gave me a hard time earlier, it was just damn. So we'll cover a bunch of things, and I hope that at least one of you in the audience will issue a damn as we walk through this. Thank you.
Hey.
Can I get a damn? But a couple of things, and I've got, it is an unconference, but I did a couple of slides to sort of keep us on track. I am notorious for ADHLAS, which is attention deficit, hey look a squirrel. So it is the super version of ADD. So these are just sort of, I hope you'll look at these not as a presentation, but really more to sort of keep us in line, right, with the dialogue or keep us on track. Feel free to take it off track, and I hope that you'll feel comfortable enough in this environment to raise your hand, just like so online they're typing in some questions, but if we're able to go around and hand the mics out as we go, I think it'd be great. So I think Eric brought up a couple things. First, it's who is this guy? So I'm the talent engagement and marketing leader over at PepsiCo. It's a recent role. I came over this year. This has been very exciting, but coming over with over 17 years experience in talent acquisition, talent management space, I am passionate about this. This drives me. I love this. I love incorporating change. I absolutely love being part of large companies. It's funny, we had some dialogue last night. There was some back and forth over the value of trying to do this at Fortune 100 companies, Fortune 9 companies, Fortune 1000s, and then beyond. And it is a very different approach, but I think that today we'll kind of go through this piece that I think literally could be incorporated at any size, right, within any organization. So the other piece is, right, I love to speak. It's no stranger that I certainly love to talk, so it should be easy. So I've got narcissist, just one of my favorite. My wife gives me a hard time, but I am a live streamer. So anybody who's not a live streamer, or who is a live streamer, must love talking about themselves. So I'm happy to I throw this up actually just to let you know that if we don't manage to connect here today, if we don't manage to actually have some conversation and some dialogue, and you've got some things you want to talk about, I do 100% response rate to everything that comes in on my blog, everything that comes in via Twitter. So I'm happy to have that engagement. If you have to scoot out of here, you don't stay late for the social lubrication that's later this evening or whatever else goes on. So we're going to talk Glocal, but what the heck is Glocal, right? Nobody knows what the hell that term is, right? First time I heard it, actually I saw it on a presentation, I actually thought it was a typo. Right? It was like, hey, look, they misspelled something. Ha ha, hee hee. And I came really close to tweeting it out. Oh, typo on that. I'm glad I didn't. Would have been a little embarrassing, but this was some time ago. But I think that the bottom line when we start talking about glocalization is really being able to think globally, but deliver or recraft that in terms for this conversation locally so that it's applicable, right? So in terms of PepsiCo and our employment brand, and we'll talk about this, is that we have this core message, but we ran into a little bit of a hurdle when we decided that we needed to rebuild our brand, rebuild our employment presence, when we realized that perhaps one brand for such an amazing company with such a diverse array of different products was not going to fit in every market, right? This one recruiting piece or this delivery. So I want to start first by giving credit where credit is due, right? I think that's important because this is a big project. We launched in September, early September, this new brand. And I did a post on my blog and out on the PepsiCo blog that talked about how we were able to bang through the presentation of this new brand in 15 weeks. And it garnered about a half a dozen or so comments on the blog. But what also came were about a dozen emails that talked about that topic. But one of the things that really stuck out to me, and that maybe I could have done a better job of communicating in the blog entry, is that one of them was, "Wow, you guys did this global employment brand in 15 weeks." No, we didn't build a global employment brand in 15 weeks. We reskinned a website. We punched up some copy. And we put out some very sexy creative, right, from an employment brand perspective in 15 weeks. But we did not build the employment brand in 15 weeks. It's a much longer journey. And quite frankly, it's a journey that really warrants the buy-in from leadership. And so, it's been exciting to be part of that journey as I came in sort of on the back end of developing this piece. But Paul Marchand, who is the VP of Global Talent Acquisition over at PepsiCo, has had this vision of a new employment brand for this company for well over a year. And he's been pushing buy-in, he's been pushing engagement internally. And it's really been that drive, that change, that engagement with leadership and all of that communication that has been key in this actually coming to fruition, us being able to push this out, this amazing, I am partial, I do think it is amazing.
It is amazing.
This new brand, thank you, this new brand. So I think that's important to remember. And then the other piece is having hungry innovators on the team. So if you're looking to recreate an employment brand, taking 2 or 3 of your team members, even if they're your big thinkers, and pulling them into a room and saying, "Okay, guys, come up with something sexy right now for our new brand." Or no matter how good you think it is, or no matter how good you think maybe that new creative or piece is, it's never going to be as good as if you had pulled in the collective, right? If you had openly shared with all of the team, gained that buy-in, that communication, and really pulled those folks in. I mean, nobody knows the culture better than your employees, hopefully, right? But nobody knows the field better than the recruiters in terms of what they need, what message needs to be delivered, right, in this market versus that market. So I think those are a couple of things just to sort of keep in mind. But I think as we get into it, and I don't want to break away from our dialogue model here, right?
Who wants to see the brand, right? You want to see it, right? So we know what we're talking about, so we can figure out if it's any good, right? So I think right? Just because you're Pepsi doesn't mean you're good, right? So I think these are the kinds of things that we look at. You want to see it? You want to see it? Yeah, I think we need to see it. So let's see where it started. Show the brand.
So it began, right? We realized that we needed something, and there's no secret that PepsiCo and all of their different brands have been around a while, right? There's a lot of history there. We have a lot of different products from Mountain Dew to Pepsi Cola to Gatorade. I mean, hell, when I came on, I was floored, and this was my own ignorance. I should have done more homework, but I mean, all of the Rice-A-Roni is PepsiCo. I mean, I'm not asking, I'm telling, but this was one of the things. I don't need to get back to the office and somebody goes, Chris didn't know that Rice-A-Roni. right? But we have just an amazing array of products that you don't necessarily realize, are within that umbrella. And we have some very muscular brands. I mean, you want to talk about impressive. We've got, a handful up here, right? A dozen different brands that sit between the $250 million to $1 billion range, but we have 18 brands individually that do $1 billion a year. This is huge, right? And some of the challenges that we run into from a recruiting standpoint, right, is when we stand out on campus is that a lot of people don't realize that those are PepsiCo jobs, right? You see the crazy, awesome, out there stuff that Mountain Dew does. As a marketing student, right, you are all over that. How cool is that? I want to work for Mountain Dew. Okay, well, you really want to work for PepsiCo, right? Or you see what we've got going on for the Super Bowl coming up with all the Doritos and think, oh, I'm coming out of college. Where are those Doritos guys on campus? Mm-hmm. Well, they're PepsiCo guys that are out on campus, right? And those are some of the challenges we run into locally. But we've got other countries with Sabritas and Walkers and all these different products that some of those locations don't even register with PepsiCo as a company, right? They don't even realize what's a PepsiCo. I just want to work here, I want to work there. So we knew that, when we sat back and we looked at this, we were literally functioning as a house of brands. Right? When what we really needed to be was a branded house. We needed to pull all of these things in collectively, right, and drive that piece and drive the story that if you want to work at Mountain Dew, this is a PepsiCo job. This is the PepsiCo culture. If you want to work at Doritos, Gatorade, Tropicana, all of these different pieces, all of these different places, these are where they live, right? So we knew we had to get there. So before we could kick it off, we had to sit down and start to outline what we wanted to accomplish, right? So we had to set some basic goals, some parameters. We knew with this crazy, history, with this amazing reach, we needed to leverage what was already out there. Right? We needed to take advantage of a few things. We needed to take advantage of the corporate messaging that exists today, because by golly, we are a marketing machine. Right? There are some things out there from a recruiting standpoint we would kill to get all over. Don't think I didn't ask if we could put a career link or something on a bag of Doritos when it goes out, or we're all coming. I mean, they're getting sick of me over marketing, going, you could put a career link on it. Can we put the Twitter over in here? And can we put the, to get engaged on all these things? But there's a tremendous opportunity for us to leverage what already exists today.